Hi, I'm Jerry Levinson, and this is the Flooring Business Podcast, where each week we talk to expert flooring dealers, suppliers, marketing experts, software experts, and anyone I believe who's going to help you in your flooring business. Now, my mission is to give you good information. It's going to help you reach your goals. If you're just starting your business or trying to reach 5 million in sales or more, or you're ready to sell your business, you're going to find useful information that'll help you reach your goals and profit now in the flooring industry. Now, remember, each Thursday, I offer sales training that'll be good for your entire team. It's only $150 per month, and it's going to pay for itself over and over again as I show you ways to close more sales at higher prices. Now, this week, my guest is my friend, former employee. He still works for Carpets of Arizona, but Josh Nagler. And ever since I left, you're doing really good, huh?
Yeah, that was the secret sauce.
Right? So he's really been the most successful salesperson with the highest closing rate, and he's also generating his own leads. Those are the main topics that I want to talk about him generating his own leads. But there's a lot of other stuff that I want to cover that I think is going to be really useful for you guys. So let's start off. Let me hear a little bit of a background story and tell us a little bit about the Greenpeace experience,
The
just for
Greenpeace,
starters.
the Peace Corps.
Peace Corps.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, I walked away from the corporate world back in 2001. Went to grad school and then joined the Peace Corps and lived in Nicaragua for 6 years, working in humanitarian aid, helping people launch agricultural businesses, agribusiness, I guess you could say. Started a very large export business. And then came back to the US in the financial crisis and fell back on a skill set that I always had, which was selling, and back into flooring, which is something I did right out of high school.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
who did you work for then?
Actually, Rick Stein, Just Remnants was the name of the store. We sort of launched it together back in 90 88, something like that.
Oh, wow.
We,
Okay. So that was in California too, right?
Yeah, Northern California in a small town called Fairfax. We rented a garage from someone that had a street side, had some windows. We filled it with samples and just, back then, I used to subscribe to a listing of people that pulled building permits from the county. And I would get these 3x5 cards every week or every 2 weeks. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. And I'd just start calling people, because I'd have their name. And back then you didn't have caller ID. So almost everyone answered the phone. And yeah, built a tickler file and we built a business that way.
Oh, so that was already in your blood, is to go after your own business, do the networking, get those leads.
Yeah.
It was funny when we were going to hire Josh. The first interview was horrible, right? So he
Yeah,
interviewed
I
with
didn't
my
know how to
son, and
sell myself. It was I just yeah,
but
I'm a bit
we
understated when I don't know what's going on.
and I wasn't in the interview. It was my son and Miranda, our sales manager, and they're like, "No, we're not going to hire this guy." And he came highly recommended, but the interview didn't go well. So, but he immediately called and said, "Hey, I know I did a horrible job on the interview, and I think you contacted Miranda like 3 times that day." And for me, I was like, hey, you got to consider this guy. One of the things, one of the rules I have when I'm hiring somebody is we give them, here's our expectations, and I want to see if they follow up. And to me, if they don't follow up, that means that maybe if they don't have the courage to follow up with me,
Mm,
then how are they going to be with our customers?
sure,
So when you do that kind of follow up with us and say, hey, I really want this, it's like, he's going to go after it when it comes to customers too.
sure.
So we brought you in for another interview. My main concern was that you came out of the Peace Corps. So I'm going, oh, this guy's going to be liberal, and we're going through COVID, and last thing I need is people reporting to the government that we're not following the exact science and the rules and we're not enforcing this and that. So I was a little concerned about that. We cleared that up, but after that interview, which we don't normally hire on the spot, I went out and talked to Miranda and like, yeah, go for it. Absolutely. Let's give it a
Well,
shot.
and I thank you for that because it's been very, very productive. It's been life-changing for me in terms of just being with the right team to allow me to just flourish. And it's just one goal after another is just being crushed.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about the process and the system that we have in place here. What was it like for you personally following it in the beginning? And tell us straight out, was your attitude that this isn't the way I do it? This is bullshit. Why don't they just let me do it my way? Because I've been successful in the past. Tell us about your thought process.
Well, I have always been interested in learning from people around me. And certainly I had been doing what you were asking me to do, which was sales in general from 30,000 feet, just sell. I've been doing it for a long time, but the system, you guys used a CRM. I use a CRM every day, which requires a lot of input. And I wasn't used to that, so I groaned. I'm not super great with details, and I've had to learn to adapt that because uh, communication is key, and I've never worked any place that had communication as valued and as used as it is at Carpets of Arizona. There was that part. I had never tracked anything. I never knew what my closing rate was, what my profit margin was, things like that. And it's instantaneously available at your fingertips when you're uh, using a CRM and you're putting all your information in. And so I ran with that aspect of it, saying, okay, I'm going to hire a business coach and I'm going to set some goals. And these are the things that I just need another perspective outside of the store, as well as my sales director, Miranda. Just help me get 1/2% better every week. And that's sort
Oh,
of been
okay.
my goal. Yeah,
That's interesting. And
yeah.
just so you guys know, the software he's talking about, we use a program called Job Nimbus, which we have developed and made work for us. We don't recommend it. It wasn't developed for the flooring world. There's a lot of really good flooring software out there, but we made this program work really good for us. So it's just not something that we definitely we recommend. In fact, he's trying to change over to Rollmaster or Floors app, one of these other programs that are out there. Um, so
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to bring up another difference between Carpets of Arizona and places I've worked in the past. Is there's a real division of labor between operations and sales, and I think the mindset of management and the business processes are set up to let salespeople sell. So we don't need to worry about the little details. This, you're 1/4 round short, you're this, the that. Let other people handle that. They know how to handle it. They know how to get materials, etc. Just keep in a good space and get out there and sell.
yeah,
And
that's a great point. And I was going to ask you that too. At one point, is do you schedule the installation?
no, no, I hand off the sale.
Did you
I
in the past? Did you for other companies?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
And
And does
it's
that interrupt your process when you have to manage that customer all the way through?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're then required to take control of people that you can't control, who you have no authority over. As a salesperson, I don't write the check to the installers. Um, and, the customers are going to react to how the installers are when they show up. Um, I mean, is this a great point, a good place to bring up the installer incentive program?
Yeah, that I didn't even have that as a question, but absolutely. I think you're one of the first to really launch that into our sales process when
Yeah.
we created the program.
Yeah. So just in a nutshell, we ask every single one of our customers to give us a rating on the installers when the job is finished. And it's a simple thing, they don't need to write paragraphs, just between 1 and 5, and the ratings translate into bonuses for our installers. And so if the salesperson is all focused on doing a great job of building a relationship with the customer, but if your installer is not doing the same thing, then that can open up a whole can of worms, right? And if you're also in charge of solving the problems that may have been created by an installer not being informed correctly, an installer having a bad day, or an installer that can sort of rectify the mistakes of the salesperson, we're all a team.
Yeah.
And because of that, I rarely have to get my head filled with the minutia of the operations. And
Now,
that's about
since implementing the installation incentive program, how has that helped you with sales?
Very directly, because I bring it up in every presentation that I do with someone. And, the key is trust, right? A customer's going to buy from you if they trust you, if they feel you have something in common, whatever it takes to build a relationship. But trust is definitely key. And, there's a lot of information out there now in the digital world with reviews, etc. I bring it up every time. And one of the reasons we have 400 5-star reviews is because of our installer incentive program. And it works this way. They always smile and nod and go, okay, got it.
Yeah, because one place we got jammed up in a lot of times is when people said, do you guys use subcontractors or in-house installers?
Mhm.
So
And so,
this was kind of the answer to that question, but you're using it ahead of that question and
yeah,
putting it out there.
well, you want to control the narrative a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
if you bring it up before they bring up that question, because, I understand there are a lot of box store places out there that use contracted labor. They're not even employed by the same organization that's selling. They're not housed. They never see each other. They don't know each other. So, that leads to horror stories. And so everyone's out there, not everyone, but the myth out there is that if they're not your employee, you can't control the quality. That's not true. The real essence is incentive. If you have an incentive for the installers to do a great job, then you get a great job,
I
right?
was
And
going to
they
ask
also,
you that. Do
yeah,
you think it's the bonus that is making the installers? Because you would say the installers have been, since implementing this, they've been more professional especially from a communication standpoint.
yeah, as long as it's being used to reward. If it's being used to control, like an Amazon warehouse factory person who's measured every time they go to use the restroom or something. In our case, it's used to reward good behavior. When we get a good review, we put it up out there so they can all see amongst each other. It's sort of a little bit of a healthy competition amongst themselves too.
That's what I think it is. I think it has less to do with the reward. The reward is great. The bonuses are great, but
Mhm.
I don't think that influences them near as much as seeing the score, because they're scored against each other and they
Yeah,
compete and they've all got an ego
sure.
and they like it. They like it more than the blow
Yeah.
and go at Empire or someplace where they don't give a damn.
Right. I agree with you, Jerry. We have our Monday morning sales meetings, and I like my numbers to be better than everyone else's. I also really enjoy my paycheck being bigger as well. So,
That's an excellent point, which I didn't even have there as a question. So we've talked to people about this. Some of them are gun shy about salespeople, not liking each other or competing against each other, but it's good. It's healthy, right? I mean, it's fun. And you could say that because you're the Michael Jordan of the group. So
well, yeah, I don't think the information is just laid out there. It's not done in a sort of a rough way of saying, look at you losers, this you got to be this guy in order for me to give you respect. Everybody is deeply respected. We're a family. I really enjoy it when my colleagues ask me for help with something, whether it's what transition do I use here, or Josh, how do you measure for this, or anything like that. And also, uh, you know,
And
we like to be friends.
what's it like when they're beating you in sales? If they're,
It kills me. It
but
kills me. My pride.
and how do they feel? I mean, everybody's joking around in here. Well, I'm beating
Yeah.
Josh at least, you know.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine. I can't speak to how they're feeling, but yeah, I mean, when I first joined the team, there were two people that had done 100 grand in a month. One I had heard about, and the other occurred in front of me, and I just felt like, oh my God, that is so out of reach for me. But hey, let me see, and as soon as I crossed, like, I think the 90 was my sales, 90 grand in a month, the third month in. And then it went to 111, then 125. It got all the way up to 198. And so now
Wow.
I don't have any limitations in my mind about what I can do, and I don't need, let me back up a little bit. It's also a healthy mindset because I set my intentions every week about how many people I'm going to help. I don't set my intentions about how much I'm going to sell. And the selling is sort of a result of the planning. And the planning is how many people can I help? And how many calls does it take for me to reach out and help that number of people? How many meetings do I have to attend where it's a networking thing? But yeah, the results just started flowing in, and now, I don't believe that they're things that I can't do. I go after what I want to do.
It's interesting that you bring that up, how many people you want to help, because we set goals in the master class. I teach people how to set their goals, and you set a revenue goal, but you're not looking to reach that number. What you're looking to reach is how many people do you need to help? How many people do you need to see in order to reach that revenue goal? So you back it
Yeah.
out with average ticket price, closing rate, and then all you're focused on is how many people do you need to see on a monthly or weekly basis in order to reach that goal.
Right. And we wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't have that type of software where we're looking at those types of numbers, right?
Yeah.
And so when you first start, you don't have that uh, data in order to say, hey, this is how I'm going to launch into it. And it was daunting when I first started. I hadn't written stuff out like the way we have to here. Um, but I leaned into it and got pretty good at it. And it's hard to set a goal when it's results, because you can't take action about results. You can only take action about action steps. So my goals are directed towards the action steps, and the results follow.
And if you were to go to another company that didn't have all that stuff in place, you'd probably be very frustrated without all that process and all, the programs and everything that at first you may have resisted. And we did have two people quit and thought we were getting too corporate because we were implementing all these programs. And then they went to work for some knucklehead who didn't have anything in place. Nice guy, but he didn't have anything in place. And they
Yeah.
got very frustrated with that. Came back here and it was like, oh, yeah, they just bought in completely and realized that this is so much better for everybody, our customers, our installers, the company. It's just better for everyone.
It's better for everyone. And it is good to point out that the timing of my coming to you guys and getting employed was great, because you already had great systems in place. There was a growing curve for me to get up to speed in terms of the CRM, but I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now in sales if I were working for a different type or different method of flooring dealer, meaning they don't track the numbers, they don't give you support. The operations manager really is someone, uh, a glorified scheduler, something like that. I've worked for several different places and I've had success in some, but nothing to the degree that I've had here. And so I don't do it by myself. It's a full team effort.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we're going to get to the point of how you're generating your own leads. That's really fascinating. But before we go there, let's walk it through the process a little bit. I want to know, customer comes into the showroom, can you walk us through the process? Like, are you trying to get the in-home estimate? Do you give out samples? Walk us through your process a little bit.
Well, it's a good, those are great leader questions. Keeping in mind that I want to help people. As soon as they walk through the door, I want to find out what the problem is that they have in order for me to help them. So, walk in, introduce myself. Hi, I'm Josh. Uh, Tell me about your project. Sometimes they spill all kinds of information. Sometimes they come so confused because they've been to too many places, and some people are just starting out. I love working with people who are just starting out because I like to give good, accurate information. Regardless, the idea for me is I need to find out what their situation is and what they're trying to solve. And then I come up with solutions, throw a couple things against the wall and see if they stick, sort of thing. Um, I do definitely want to get samples in their hands. If they take them home or if they let me come out and bring them there, because I want them to engage with the process. If they're passively just looking at stuff, then are they really a customer? I don't know. I want engagement.
Yeah. So you're able to schedule an estimate in a lot of cases.
Yep.
And then when you're in the home, you do the measuring, correct?
I do.
And you do the full estimation. Do you do that in the home? And do you give them a quote in the home?
I do. I do. In most cases, I do. As long as we can come to an agreement on what products they want the estimate on. Um, you know, uh, we use an all-inclusive pricing system, so we've sort of taken a lot of the guesswork out. We've also sort of laid it out simply for the customer so they can understand what they are being presented with, because a lot of people are advertising only the material cost because it looks a lot less. We advertise the complete cost, and we want it to reflect the actual result of the number on the piece of paper that I put in someone's hand. It shouldn't be difficult for them to understand.
Have you done line item quotes before? And
Yes, I've done line item quotes, and it's really difficult to recreate the trust that I created when we were in the showroom in the beginning, because they feel like, oh, well, you're adding this, you're adding that, and you're adding this. Take all the guesswork out. As soon as they're in the store, say, hey, we use an all-inclusive price system here. So, it'll be nice and simple. Our object is to help you get the best and healthiest flooring solution for your situation.
and how often do people ask you to break it down?
Rarely.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't, and there's many places I worked for whose whole mindset was a fear of people asking them that. So
Mhm.
they tried to hide it. I don't get why. I really don't get why, because it creates an adversarial sort of posture, and that's not the goal. If you go about everything believing that they're going to go price shop you, then what's the value you're actually bringing to them, right? If you haven't set out the value as something other than just price, then what makes you different than anyone else?
Right. And it makes it easier for you as a salesperson too, that you've got those prices at the ready on the
Sure,
sample books, and that includes everything, the
sure.
installation, and even includes furniture move.
Absolutely. And that's not to say that I, as a salesperson, don't have any discretion, to move prices one way or another. It just, you really want to take the sting and the guess out of this process. How many people hate to go to buy a car because they don't understand the process and they hate it? They don't know whether they're getting taken or not. We've simplified it.
So this is a good question. We have a process that includes furniture move, and we built that into the price. How many people ask you, well, what if I move my own furniture?
So great. It's a free service we provide, but we're happy to do it for you, and we're also happy to to get in and finish it earlier.
Yeah. So, I mean, does it happen? Do people ask you, what if I move
Frequently,
my own furniture?
frequently.
Do they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, frequently. Uh, I would say maybe 20% of the time.
Okay.
But most of my clients aren't that price conscious. They're really about trying to get the full service. Phone's ringing here.
Okay.
All right.
We often say that customers are always getting in the way of us growing our business. So, um,
Uh,
so what about closing the sale in the home? What's your thoughts on that? Do you have any good closing lines, or how do you go about that?
uh, yeah, I'm not the kind of guy that has any sort of teachable book type closing techniques because I sort of operate out of being as transparent and genuine as I can be. But there are a couple things, if I sense that there's some hesitation, I want to try and deal with those excuses before they come up, before they're brought to me, because once they're brought to me, then it's a bit of a difficult process. There are some times I think they're called trial closes. Where I might say, other than price and affordability, is there any other reason why you wouldn't give me this opportunity today?
We
Uh,
did in sales training, closing the sale last 2 weeks. And one thing I didn't bring up though was that exact strategy that I learned a long time ago is when somebody does give you an objection, before you overcome the objection, you ask, is there any other objections?
yeah, once they bring up the objection, it's difficult to take it away. But if you take it away before they bring it up, and if you're paying attention to what you're doing
Oh,
day
so
in
you
and
do
day
that
out,
before the objection. That's very interesting.
yeah, because
If you sense it.
if I sense it,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a fair number of people that are just used to not being open with the salesperson, right? Because they're in a negotiating perch, or if you will, and I sense that some people really want to be in control. And
Do you ever ask them if they have a budget?
absolutely, especially, but sometimes I do it very, very straightforward. Do you have a budget? But sometimes people get so scared of saying that, and I like to soften it up a little bit. So, how far up the food chain would you say you're looking? So, sort of entry, medium, high. You get a sense at some point whether someone is going to, uh, whether you're showing them the right product, right?
Yeah. I don't
Because
like the budget question because most people don't have one, and it kind of makes them feel almost stupid, like they didn't come prepared.
no,
And
I agree with that. That's why I change it to the how far up the food chain, because some people say, I definitely want my room to feel like this is the best.
yeah.
Some people say, hey, and I learned this from you also. I could turn it into a time horizon question. So is this your forever home? How long do you want this? Are you hoping that this carpet lasts? If you're in the rental market, right? You're not looking for a 15-year type of product. You're most likely going to have to change out at the next tenant cycle. So one way or another, I need to find out whether I'm showing them the right product.
And you and I differ on this, and I would love to get your input on it. And I do want this from other people as well. I'm not a big product knowledge guy. I don't think it's that important to know all the details of the fiber, this and that. I think you can give advice and information, but you are more product knowledge person, and you do use that in your sales. So let's talk about that a little bit. How important do you believe that product knowledge is? And like knowing if a material is polyester, nylon, giving that kind of information out.
Well, let me first say that I don't think the answers are actually the important thing. It's the trust that you create by being able to show that you're an expert. And so I want to be able to have an answer for someone, and I want it to be accurate just because of my integrity. I hate making something up, or I hate telling people that that particular question you have is just not important for us. You know, it's absolutely important because you asked it, and I want to be able to answer it. And I definitely, if I don't have the answer, I let them know that I can find it. I
Right.
don't make it up. Um, but I am a bit of an analytical guy. You know, I went to grad school for economics. So it's how I view problems. I break them down into pieces. And when some people, you know, it's not straightforward. No one walks in and says, I just want the most cleanable. I don't care how long it lasts. Or I want something that's going to wear like iron. Well, you know, I don't necessarily trust the number on the back of the carpet label that says this one's 25 years and this one's 15 years. It's just a signal. It's a signal to the customer that the manufacturer thinks this is better than that.
Oh, exactly. I agree,
Yeah.
100%. That's what we're talking about is like the difference in ounce weights. Well, obviously, a 45 ounce is better than a 40 ounce. Uh,
Uh, yeah, if
sure.
all else is equal. If
You
all
know,
else is equal, right?
right. And something that has a 20-year warranty, 25-year warranty is probably better than a product that has a 15-year warranty. Just it's, you know, and if the
Well,
price of the product is better, it may
yeah.
determine. Although we've been successful selling Bolera, I know you guys aren't selling it near as much now, but that only has a 10-year warranty. But we sold the hell out of that
Yeah,
product.
we did. It's well, I don't know if you want to get into it or not, but that blue back has been troublesome. Um,
Well, that's fine because the selling system was something that we believed in and all that, and it's come around to become problems, which again, that's okay. I think this market is going to experience that with luxury vinyl. It's starting to have some failure rates and
hmm.
it's not probably going to be as good. But, you know, I don't think anybody was being dishonest in presenting that product.
Yeah, well, you know, I've been selling luxury vinyl for since 2009, and primarily it was Carndine. And then
Yeah.
there's so many Me Too players out there, and it may unfortunately affect Carndine and Cortec or something because of the Me Too players out there that found a cheaper way to make it, and the cheap way led to failure rates. But I mean, not to take issue with what you are saying, just uh, I still fully believe in the luxury vinyl. Um, I want to believe in what I sell.
When you're, oh, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
and you are sincere and believe it. You know, ethical, honest sincerity don't make up the questions. I only say presenting the materials before it's even asked for instance, like the core of Coral Oxy versus Pergo Extreme, or do you explain the difference in the core, which to me just doesn't matter at all.
No, but I'm trying to open as broad a communication or as deep a communication as I can. I want to maintain their attention. Um, you know, I frequently have had customers come in, tell me what they want, and I found the perfect product within the first 2 minutes. We get to the home, I give them the price, they like the price, they buy it, and then all of a sudden they start to realize, well, I never asked any questions. I wonder, this guy is just too slick. He sort of snookered me into buying something or whatnot. I don't like that to happen. But my communication with the customer is based on how they communicate with me. There are
Yeah.
people that want the details and there are people that don't need the details. And I'm not trying to force feed anyone anything other than the solution to what they're looking for.
Okay, good. That's good answer. because I find there are some people who are experts in the product and they want to tell the customer what should be important to them
Mhm.
rather than, we say it's better to understand than be understood.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to preach to them what should be important to them and not understanding what really is important to them.
Yeah, no, that's why it has to be a dialogue. It can't be, me just telling them everything about flooring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, good. Let me see. We got closing in the home. All right, let's get to lead generation. Well, wait, before I do that, what about follow up? How are you? Let's say you don't close in the home. How good are you at following up? And do you have any process or system or way that you like to handle follow up?
Absolutely. Well, I don't leave a person's home unless we both have a clear expectation as to how soon they're going to hear from me or how soon they're going to have an answer for me. If I have to, I say, well, do you mind if I follow up with you in a couple days? Because I just want them to stay engaged.
Yeah.
And that's getting to yes. Just ask as many questions that have a yes answer as possible until you get a no. Um, I mean, not that it's a technique that I learned. It's just sort of the logic of it. But I learned working for you guys how to follow up. I can't, in hindsight, I can't tell you how many dollars I've left on the table because I didn't follow up. Um, I, I just sort of felt, oh, I don't want to impose that kind of thing, and I've left that shit behind. I mean, some people in my network say that I am relentless with my follow up, almost to the point of annoying. Well, okay, I'll take being annoying and closing 60% or 198 grand in a month
Right.
over over not, right?
Well, how many times did you follow up and somebody said, "Oh, you know what? Thanks for following up. I just got sidetracked. I really wanted to do this, but
Mhm.
I just got sidetracked. So I appreciate you following up with me."
Remember how I started this interview talking about those 3x5 cards?
Yeah.
I mean, you talk to someone who just pulled a building permit and they may be 6 months, a year away from actually needing the flooring, but I call them every 2 months until that time is there, so much so that they all know me. Hey, Jake, it's Josh on the phone. Come on, let's talk to him about the flooring sort of thing. Back to your real question, most people appreciate the follow-up. They want to feel important. I want to feel like what I'm doing is important. So we both need to respect what we're doing, right? And it really is a bad signal to a customer if you give them a quote and never call them back.
Yeah. Which most don't. We've
Yeah.
done secret shoppers. I've secret shopped my own company, and the amount of people that call back, maybe 2 or 3 out of 20.
Yeah. There's some, it doesn't take a lot to be head and shoulders above everyone else out
Right.
there, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Right. So, okay, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this, which is you generate a lot of your own leads. Do you know from a percentage standpoint?
Yeah, right now it's sitting close to between just under 50%, I believe
Yeah,
is where it
that's
is.
insane. I mean, that's nobody's doing that really. I mean, for the most part, people are getting leads for their salespeople. So take us through that. Why, and there are plenty of leads coming in the door, calling. There's tons of lead generation here. How are you successful generating your own leads?
Uh, well, I've learned over the years processes that I feel comfortable in. Um, I I want to build customers for life, and I think the best way to do that is by developing a relationship. And some of the places, I mean, sometimes when a customer just walks into the showroom, If you're just sitting there waiting for the customer that walks into the showroom, you haven't sort of showed any ankle to them or anything. Maybe I'm losing track here. I want to get out there into the community. I want to control my success as much as I can. And that control comes in the form of finding as many opportunities as I can. Um, eh, and that's what it is. You want more sales, you got to have more opportunities, more touches, right? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's a numbers game, and you can always come up with the averages based on what you did yesterday. But I want to feel like I have a certain amount of control rather than waiting for I hear all the time about people developing a real territory only to discover that the company then split the territory and left them with only a piece of it.
Mm.
I want the relationships so they stay with me.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Uh,
calling Josh. They're not calling Carpets of Arizona.
Yeah, yeah. And if we go
And
back
if you left
to,
the company, they'd go with you. And that's, I don't want that to be the reality, but that is the reality. I mean, they build a relationship with the salesperson.
yes,
So when they leave the company, that if you left the company, they would probably follow you wherever you went.
yeah. I really like where I am. Just, hey, Shane, I like where I am. But, uh, but yeah, I decided, I made a decision a long time ago that I didn't want to own my own business. I just like at the end of the day to not have to think about anything. Um, it's just the nature of where I am in my life. But I want to treat what I do day in and day out as if I have some ownership in it. And one of the most fruitful and rewarding ways is by generating as many opportunities as I can on my own. And I've been recently just rewarded for having generated so much on my own that I no longer have to sit in the showroom. Excuse me. Uh, I will be working almost 100% in just relationship development. But let's not lose the context of helping people, right? I go out there, especially in organizations like BNI. I go in there. How many of you guys who are building your business can I help? And if you look at my numbers over the past 10 years, it's even. The number of sales that I've gotten, I mean, the revenue from sales that I've gotten from BNI is almost equal to the revenue of the referrals that I've given in BNI.
Yeah, I was
And
going to ask you about that too. So BNI is not an easy organization to belong to. It's a networking group and a phenomenal networking group, but it's not easy to belong. They demand a lot of you at BNI versus a chamber of commerce or some of the other networking organizations. Give us
yeah,
your insight about that.
sure. I like to look at it from time to time in terms of how much I get each time I show up. And if I look over the past 12 months, uh, I can break it down into $7,000 in revenue for 1.5 hours of showing up a week.
Which is
Um,
extraordinary. So how are you doing that? Because I can tell you people that are going to networking meetings, if you're just going to the meetings, you aren't getting those results. So how are you getting those results?
uh, yeah, so you do want in BNI, you have to develop relationships outside of the meeting as well. I've been doing this a long time, so I've sort of figured out how to be strategic because some people want to build, if you're in the chapter with 80 people, they want to build 80 really deep relationships. And we just don't have enough time. How can you build your business and build that many relationships with businesses that might not be that relevant to you? In flooring, however, I don't exclude anyone because there's one-offs all the time. Um, but uh, every time I walk into a customer's house, my ears are up and listening for anything they might say about, oh, had a problem. Hey, last time I did this, I had a problem, and I really want, painting was horrible, or this was horrible, or man, the perfect world would be to have those blinds as well as the flooring and sort of thing. And if I can help people build their businesses, if I'm sitting alongside people that have blinds, that have plumbing, that blah, 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 I want to keep them involved in uh, the more you help someone, the more they want to help you. It's just human nature. Um, and so part of my intentions that I told you about each week is it's not just how many people I can help, it's how many big referrals am I going to give this week? And how many regular size referrals am I going to give this week? Just saying it and writing it down sometimes creates it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's black magic or anything like that, but it creates an awareness in your mind that that's part of what you're doing. And so you're just hearing, you're focusing, you're hearing.
And when it comes down to it, people don't refer the business, like people don't refer you because they like you. They
Yeah.
refer you because they like their customer or their friend, and they know that you'll give them a good experience. So it's one thing I've always said, when it comes to referrals, you got to understand, why are people doing it? It's like referring a good movie to somebody. You don't care about the producers. You want your friend to have a good time.
Exactly.
Well, if I refer you, I want my friend to have a good experience, and I trust that you're going to do that. That's why I'm
Yeah.
referring you.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, it's a value added for me. When I walk into someone's house and I can help them with more than one problem, that just makes me look better.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's also helping the people that I meet with once a week uh, and grow their business. And the it's important to bring up. You mentioned how difficult BNI is, and part of the difficulty for some people is that you have to be present, and you have to. For me, I mean, I grew up quite differently than most people, so I'm sort of leaning into being different. By that, I mean I wear orange. I want to stand out, but my tagline also stands out because I want to inject humor. I mean, it's just carpet, right? Or it's just luxury vinyl. We're not giving birth in taxis or anything like that. So uh, make it fun, make it memorable.
Yeah, I
Uh,
notice in the showroom, everybody gives you wide berth because it's like a traffic cone. They try to avoid you.
Whatever it takes to be memorable, man.
Right.
That's what I say. You know.
That's what I always preach. You got to stand out somehow, and in all your marketing, everything you do. Some people don't want to stand out because they're worried they're going to offend somebody or something like that. You don't have to do something outrageous, but it's better that you are known, that you do wear the orange shirt. The saying on the back of the shirt, small family owned business, no one over 5'6". Do people give you a hard time about that?
Oh, all the time. I mean, sometimes I forget it's on my shirt, and then I'm standing in line somewhere and people start laughing, and I'm attracted to laughter. I'll turn around and they'll be pointing at my shirt going, well, you're not 5'6", and, things like that. But now you've engaged with someone.
Exactly. I I
Yep.
really miss it because I'm not in the company anymore. So I
Yeah.
don't have it on my vehicle. I don't have it on my shirts. And I miss that because I used to love it, standing in line at a bank or anywhere I was at. Somebody was laughing
Yeah.
or taking a photo of it. Just, I love your shirt. So
How long are they going to remember the laughter? They're going to remember the laughter a lot more than they're going to. Let me put it this way: a laughter. How many times do you have to see a Doritos commercial on TV before you go out and buy Doritos? They have to have it up there. You're looking at it all the time in order to get you to acquiesce. You
yeah.
tell someone a good joke and they remember it all the time. And I also, see these fuzzy side up, these little bands here. Every
Yeah.
time someone gives me a referral in my chapter, the next week I stand up during the section where you're supposed to say thank you, and I shoot these across the room.
Oh,
No
really?
one, no one's giving anybody anything to really stand out. And now
That
it's
is
like
fantastic.
people are. I just feel that they want to give referrals more because they want the recognition in front of the room.
So have you ever forgot the bands and somebody was like, I want a band, come on?
No, that hasn't happened, and I carry my water jug with me all the time, and it has two backups plus the one on my wrist if I remember in the middle
I
of the
think just
meeting.
as a sociological experiment, you should forget the band sometime and see
Okay,
what kind of reaction you get. Because
all right,
how many people are going to go, "Oh man, I want a band. Come on."
yeah,
I gave you a referral.
yeah.
So, all right. Let's one more last topic, 5-star reviews. You just got two more before this interview. So
Really?
talk a little bit about that. How are you generating so many 5-star reviews? And they're mentioning you by name.
Yeah. Uh, well, I ask for it. I mean, if I only had 10 seconds in an elevator, because I'm asking for it, but I'm also backing it up. But by the time I've closed a deal, I've told the customer 3 times that I'm going to ask them for a review. Um,
Oh, you teed it
sometimes I,
up.
sometimes I forget, but um, especially when I start breaking down the price. Let's say it's $10 a foot for this carpet. What's included in that? I go through all the tangible stuff. Yeah, the pad, the Dumbo spray, the installation, the lifetime guarantee. Then I bring up the installer incentive program. And since I've now brought up a review, I say, and also at the end of the job, I'll be calling you and asking you for a 5-star review, and mentioning my name. Then when I'm in the house, I'll bring that up again. If they close right then, well, then I lost my third opportunity. But after the install is complete, I call the customer. Just make sure everything was top notch. Obviously, if it, in the rare case that things didn't go well, I'm not asking for the review. But I am calling back once we solve it and saying, hey, if you feel like, we really shined in how we solved that, I would be grateful if you could tell them. And it's not just for me. I tell them, hey, it also helps your neighbors make wise decisions about flooring.
So that's great. And one of the other things that I just heard was a great strategy. They said make sure they mention the installer, but whether they're mentioning you or the installer, what that does is it makes the review longer. And they're saying Google favors longer reviews.
Oh,
So, versus ones you ever have those that just leave 5-star but didn't say
yeah,
anything,
yeah,
and so it's really valuable. The longer the review, the more Google weighs that and
yeah.
serves it up to the customers doing a search.
That you just brought reminded me of something. I get a lot of mentions in Facebook. I have my own Facebook business page, my own personal page. Um, and when someone posts on a group saying, hey, I need a referral or recommendation for blah, 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 and people, mention me, and I learned this from you. I say thank you. I type thank you. I also tell the person who posted, I'm going to send you a direct message. When I go to the direct message, I don't try and sell myself because everybody else already did that in the recommendations. I want them to engage. And so I ask them a simple question. Have you already decided what type of floor you want? Have you already decided what color? Because it's a simple question and they answer it, boom, we
Love
got them.
it.
Yeah.
That
So,
is word for word what I teach, so that's
yeah.
perfect. We didn't even
Well,
rehearse that. Good
yeah.
job.
Yeah.
See, these guys do learn some stuff from me, though. we practice what I preach.
I'm grateful for the lessons I learned from you, Jerry. Definitely.
Thank
No
you. I
doubt.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up here, Josh. Thanks for doing the interview. I really think this is going to be one of the best interviews. I have sales training later on. This will go on the podcast on Monday, but I'll probably put it on YouTube today because I want everybody to see it. It was probably one of the best interviews I've had so far.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was really nice to be able to share some ideas and get the energy.
Oh, it's valuable, very valuable. It's going to help a lot of salespeople that are struggling to do this, want to do it right and make more money. So,
Okay.
all right, gang. So thanks for joining the Flooring Business Podcast. And remember, if you'd like to join sales training, just send me a message and we'll get you signed up. And if you really want to grow your business fast, I have the Flooring Business Accelerator Program. It's a 6-month program where I work directly with you to grow your business and profits fast. I create a lot of the content for you. It's not just coaching. You can contact me at jerry@profitnowwithjerry.com for more information. And you guys have a great, profitable week.